Morning. I thought I'd pop in and do a quick catch up, a quick take stock, a quick breather. And I was thinking about some of the things to speak about today, and all that keeps going round and round and round in my head is the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but the last few months in particular, well, 2020 actually, every time I rebuild something, if it isn't quite right, life comes along and just knocks it down. And that can be really frustrating, or it can be an incredible opportunity to take stock and look at what it is exactly we are building and how in alignment we are to that. Now, that makes me feel quite emotional. And one of the things I've learned over this year, one of the things I've discovered, one of the ways that my body has evolved this year is when something is of my truth, of my soul's truth, I can feel it in my chest, not my heart. This is something we all do, not just my heart, but my higher heart. And it feels like an outer whelming emotion, almost as if it flows out of me when I feel this. So that's one way in describing how my body has evolved, which feels relevant with the feeling that we're not getting anywhere. If we were to take stock and really look at the changes of our physical form, our physical lives, even our jobs and our families to an extent, and really look at where it is and where they are now, I think many of us would actually be quite pleasantly surprised. So another aspect of my body that is adapting is my ears. I keep waking up. For many years I've had ringing in my ears, and that, as the years went on, subsided as my auric field adapted to the frequencies that was coming in. The ringing in my ears became easier, and I kind of aligned with it, brought it into myself, so it didn't really affect me as much. This year in particular, especially the last 2 months, my hearing is not going, changing, adapting, to the point where if something comes through too fast, whether it's channeled energy, whether it's somebody speaking to me, I can't actually hear. And I therefore rely on what I can see in front of me, their lips and their body and their expression and the way that they are communicating on other levels. So from an outside experience, losing my hearing can be, there's something going wrong with my ears, I'm going deaf. And I have actually received insight that next year in particular, this could be a potential, possibly temporarily, for many of us. But what it actually does for me is empower me, to listen deeper, to really hear what is going on, to really listen to the stories that are being told, but also that I'm speaking myself. And there goes that emotional feeling in my chest. So I can feel that that is my truth for myself presently. I'm just wondering how else I've adapted. What I'm receiving is it doesn't matter how many other ways I physically adapted. The key theme here is what I'm hearing comes from my higher heart. The communication that I give and that I share comes from my higher heart. And to know the difference with that from now on, especially into next year. Now, the reason I mention this, going back to the feeling as if we are building and then things falling down around us, being gifted a unique opportunity to build on solid, firm foundations, to align to what it is we are trying to achieve, to align to the world we are trying to bring in, to become that we have always hoped and dreamed. So this morning on my Facebook page, I actually wrote about I was contemplating just putting any guidance or weekly insights just on my group page, not sharing it on my personal page. I woke up to a familiar feeling of needing to direct my energy and to streamline it and not to give it away and to come back to center. And the old story for me started to play out. And thankfully, within moments, was just totally destroyed. But it started to play out that I needed to be a certain way and I needed to give in a certain way. And my body let me know how irrelevant this was for me. It's a personal thing and we're all different, but for me, this wasn't relevant. Last night, I dreamt about many animals and I dreamt I was in a country I didn't know and I had no way of communicating. Speaking with a friend today, I know where I was last night. I was actually in a place of in-betweenness. I've been doing a lot of dream work the last few months, but definitely the last few weeks in particular. And before I go to another place to help or aid in my dream time, I almost go to this waiting room in between to then find out where it is I need to go to next. And this is where I was, in this place of in-betweenness, this place of grey. Not black, not white, not old, not new, not awake, not asleep. This real grey area, not the void, somewhere completely different. And in this space, there was a deer that was starving hungry, a little baby female deer, which is the feminine, starving hungry. Now, I've dreamt about this creature before, but actually in my dreams, she's been dead. So in this current dream, she was reborn, but starving, really needing to feed. And what she needed to feed from was the meat that I held in my hand that had been cooked by myself, which was actually deer. So she was feeding from herself, much like the snake that eats its own tail. She was continually craving her own blood, her own essence, her own meat, her own sustenance. And I really, really feel that release there. Whilst feeding the deer, I noticed a lot of women came over with their own animals that were very, very different, all different shapes, size, breeds, from cats to bears to rabbits to tortoises, all coming to me with their animals to be fed. And when I woke this morning, the very clear message was to continue being open-hearted, to continue working with grace and commitment to my own vision, to the world that I'm trying to create, and to continue feeding from myself and then feeding others. Cliche as it sounds, it is always relevant to make sure that you are giving from a place of that overflow. Yeah, so ensuring that our energy is topped up and then giving and then receiving. Some of you may or may not know, but over the last few months, I found out that my mother is currently very poorly, very sick. And as a family, we have come together beautifully as a unit to support her through whatever it is she's going through. It's been beautiful and it's been difficult. And there has been times where we've all needed to say, my mother included, what it is we need, what it is we want, what it is we can and can't do, without becoming defensive, without putting that extra need on others, so that we can fully support each other. And that has really come to the light in the last few weeks on a different level. And it has broken down many things that we have tried to achieve, but many other things have been built as a result. We have managed to take stock. We have managed to evolve as a family unit, individually and together. So sometimes when things feel as if they're falling apart, when it feels as if everything you're trying to do isn't working, look at what's underneath. What is it you are actually trying to achieve? If at first you don't succeed, try again. Chip away at the things that are being released now. Let go of them so that you can start building up the things that you want for next year. So the first part of this year, very much I think we all on one level or another have been shown where we may be not lacking, but potentially requiring evolution or adaptability or change, whether that's jobs that we're not actually that keen on anymore or can work at differently, whether that's relationships, our own health. There's nothing like a pandemic to make you look at your own wellness on all levels. This year has been an opportunity to really look at the beliefs, the judgments, the actions, the balance in our life, and the structure and foundation that we build on. So every time we keep repeating that, at the moment, it is disintegrating, which can be frustrating, but also like a way of being micromanaged by energies that obviously, be it your higher self, your guides, your ancestors, however you want to call it, life, that obviously have your higher interests at hand. And once we get over the trying to do it all alone and it having to be a certain way, it can be a very intriguing learning curve to trust and to have faith in what it is you are designing, what it is you are creating, and to step into that. Because without that, regardless what you do, everything is going to keep being knocked down. Now, one of the things, just have a sip of tea. One of the things that has come through for next year so far is it being the year of hope, which can seem a little bit far-fetched where we are at the moment. But that is hope in itself, to be able to see where we want to go, but also realistically still know where we are and know that we can get there. It takes great hope. It's that big leap. Next year, with the grey areas between things, we have an opportunity to either make them into our strengths or our weaknesses. When there is gaps in our knowing, our knowledge, we often seek it outside of ourselves. And next year, there can be the risk of handing over our power to the hands of other people. However, provided we learn from this, provided we don't stray, I'm hearing don't stray, provided we don't stray and we know that everything is for our highest good, we can keep bringing it back to the self. There is great potential to veer off this month in particular. The veil feels very thin and it can become quite distracting between this world and the next, or even with it being All Hallows Eve. It can be very distracting energy, very, I think Mercury's going backwards, very trickster, Heyoka type energy. And to try and fight that almost seems like it would just make it hard work. See things for what they are, in that we don't always see things for what they are until we need to see things for what they are. So you can sense the type of energy that's coming through at the moment. As with anything, staying grounded, staying rooted, having a sense of humor, taking one step at a time, one building block at a time, building up that foundation. If it falls, knowing it was for our higher good, and starting again, just starting again. Determination this month feels key. It really does. So if your future vision of yourself includes being healthy and you've started one exercise regime like myself, and it didn't pan out and actually sent you backwards, then okay, recover, start again, but start something else. What did work? Let's not concentrate on what doesn't work. Let's not concentrate on the things we cannot change. Let's concentrate on the things that do and that we can. By letting go of the things that we cannot change, they begin to change. By having an awareness but holding space for them to come into the light, they do just that. Sometimes interfering does just that. So holding your own space and dealing with the things that you can with determination. It's all about results now. From now until next year, that's how we have hope. That's how we gain faith in ourselves in particular, by gaining results. So sticking with what you know and building on that. Okay, the first half of the year has definitely destroyed all the things that we were unsure of. It has definitely evolved all the doubt in our life, and we are left with a lot less in our basket on many levels. Now it's time to start looking at the ingredients we've got and start actually making the meal that we can, rather than what we had, and just making sure that we sustain our needs, our basic physical needs. The rest will start to take care of itself, provided we show up, continuing to show up. I'm not sure there's anything else to add apart from I will look at some cards. Let's go for it for this week in particular. And I think breaking it down into smaller chunks will really help from now until, definitely until the solstice. Breaking things down into smaller chunks, not running ahead of ourselves, seeing the bigger vision, but always coming back to now. Always coming back to now. So one is just, two have turned over. Okay, I'm going to put them to one side. Yeah, and that feels really, I'll show them actually before we continue. Because I didn't realise the Hanged Man was outside of the pack. I didn't realise that at all. So these cards are by Chris and Donnelly. They're the Light Seers Tarot. I don't think I've ever done a video with them. I may have, I'm not sure, but I love these cards and I haven't used them for a while. So this is the Hanged Man, and this card was actually outside of the pack. Yeah, so that looking at everything from so many different angles, why has this happened? What do I need to do? Doesn't need to be there anymore, because the two cards that fell out, the Three of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles, the work has been done. The work has been done there, okay? The endurance that we have gained, the insights, the lessons, the pain, all of it has been done. So I'm going to put them back into the pack, because when we try and plan something, when we try and build something from a space of pain or old endurances, it's that saying, love like you've never been hurt. Okay, treat every moment as if it is new. Every time we build something with the idea of it not working last time, heads up, it probably won't work again. So things can be around you almost falling apart. They can start to look, I did mean to laugh. They can start to look as if it's like, oh, what do I do with this now? It's just something else. Okay. Observe it, witness it, bring awareness to it. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to jump in and fix it. The first step of any healing is acceptance. The first step of any change is to be able to see something the way that it is. That is painful for many of us right now. That does mean that there's quite a bit of endurance to come in order to change our lives. Own that. Look at it. Gain the faith back in yourself that you can do this. You have done this before. Use all those previous times, all those previous sights that you've had, all those previous lessons from the Hanged Man to know that you can do this, because you have before. And just be aware of it. Okay, if at first you don't succeed, try again, because it's the trying again that builds that strength. It's the trying that builds success, not the actual outcome. So with that in mind, let's look at the energy for this week. It almost feels like I want to hold it all together, and actually I was going to pull lots of different cards for each day, but the overall energy, it feels really relevant when we have the urge to hold it all together, to go up, 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 beyond what we see, beyond what we want to fix, beyond our views and our judgments, to clarity. And I'm feeling the clarion of judgment. Yes, the Magician. Go up, 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 right up to your highest good, and ensure that whatever you are building, whatever you are saying or doing or channeling or giving to others, creating, comes from that higher source, comes from that future version of yourself. So some people call it their higher self, some people call it their guides. For me personally, it's your future potential. Pick what potential you are creating from. There is a version of myself out there to be born that is healthy, and year by year I'm getting there. Year by year I build something that isn't quite right and change it and adapt it. And this morning, very clearly, that version of me exercises and stretches. So it's about finding what works for that version now. Okay? What do you need for this version of who you are and the version of who you want to become? How different are they? You may find there's endurance there. You may find, okay, I want to be a set weight, I want to be in a set job, I want to have a certain kind of relationship, or my future self is doing this, my future world is this, my current world is this. Accept that, see that, then look at what steps you can put in place to get there realistically. Okay, I want to be fit and healthy. Sitting on the sofa, watching TV might not be the best way to do it. It might not. Okay, so it is about taking those realistic steps now towards the goals and not getting caught up in the collectiveness at the moment. In the, oh, it's all hopeless, look how far away it all is. No, all we have to do is start swimming. It's like Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep paddling to the top, doing what you need to do in each moment. And that's going to be different for everybody. Why? Because we are working towards the year of the Hierophant, and it is about building faith in who you are, knowing that you know what you need, feeding from your own self now, giving yourself sustenance, getting rid of the grey areas or being happy with the grey areas, because otherwise they can become your weakest link. When we doubt, that's when we start to repeat old patterns because they're familiar. It's okay to doubt. It's okay to be unsure. Just sit in that waiting room in between, that space in between. That's okay. If we put the same things back in, we're going to get the same things. So here we have it, the Hierophant. Yeah, keep walking, keep ascending, keep growing, keep evolving, knowing that every time you try, if it doesn't quite happen the way that you want, it doesn't mean it wasn't a success. It means it's helping you to grow towards what it is you truly, truly want. Take the medicine from it and move forward. So I'm going to leave it at that. Yes, it feels really important that that is enough. That is enough. That's 22 minutes. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If at first you don't succeed, try again, just in a different way. Just look at what you're doing. Is it actually in alignment with where I want to go? Really? Am I in alignment with where I want to go? Things have changed. Things have really changed. You have really changed. Relationships have really changed. Jobs have really changed. The world has really, really changed. Step into that. Look at where you are. Are you walking your talk? Are you being that you expect from others? Bring it back to the self and start changing for yourself. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and stay strong. Stay uplifted if you can, and if you can't, be okay with that and just be gentle, determined, courageous, and love like you've never loved before. Love like you've never been hurt, and just live your life. Take care. Bye.